Welcome to The Explainer. So, if you've been hanging around the business world lately, you've definitely been hit with a barrage of buzzwords. Design thinking, service design, UX. Honestly, it can get pretty overwhelming. But these aren't just corporate jargon. They represent a massive revolution in how the world around us is actually built. Today, our core goal is to untangle these concepts for you and reveal exactly how product design has evolved from just making things look good on a store shelf to completely centering around holistic human experiences. Here's our quick roadmap for today. We're going to cover the new design paradigm, the design thinking method, service design behind the scenes, user experience on the front stage, how touchpoints bring it all together, and finally, the shift from linear to bidirectional design. All right, let's jump right into section 1, a new design paradigm. Historically, designers were basically just brought in at the very end of a project to, well, make a machine look pretty. But today, that role has fundamentally shifted. They are now in a core, strategic position right when an idea is born. As design pioneer Donald Norman points out here, modern design is all about teaching creative innovation as a systematic method. Think about that for a second. It's no longer just some happy accident. It's actually a teachable, repeatable process that whole organizations can rely on. Moving right along to section 2, the method, design thinking. So how does this broad mindset actually work in practice? Design thinking, which is a term that really blew up around 2008, isn't just about designing a physical object, like a cool-looking chair or a shiny toaster. It's a completely holistic, human-centered or anthropocentric approach to solving massive systemic problems. It literally demands that we stop looking at a narrow product in total isolation. Actually, scratch that. It goes even deeper. Before we build anything, we absolutely have to deeply understand the context of the actual human being who's going to use it. Now, this high-level academic theory actually breaks down into 5 incredibly actionable, iterative steps. First up, you empathize, really getting into the user's shoes. Then you define their core need. Next, you ideate some creative solutions, build a tangible prototype, and finally, test it all out. And the real magic here? It's the continuous feedback loop. You're constantly learning from the user at every single step to ensure you are actually solving their real problem. Okay, let's look at section 3, service design behind the scenes. To make these design solutions a reality, we really have to zoom in to the internal workings of an organization. This is what we call service design. Think of it kind of like the backstage of a theater, or maybe the bustling kitchen of a super busy restaurant. It structures the internal workflows, the staff communications, the policies, the whole physical infrastructure, really, so that the final delivery to the customer is absolutely flawless. I mean, think about it. If the kitchen is in total chaos, the diner is definitely going to notice. Which brings us to section 4, user experience, the front stage. So if service design is the invisible backstage we just talked about, user experience, or UX, is the highly visible front stage. On one side, we have all those internal gears organizing the staff and infrastructure, completely out of sight. But on the flip side, UX focuses purely on the external, visible interaction. It's that exact, critical moment the user actually touches the product or service. The ultimate goal? To satisfy their concrete needs with maximum delight and minimal effort. All right, section 5, bringing it all together, touchpoints. So you might be wondering, how do these two spheres actually connect in the real world? Well, notice how the front stage of user experience sits right on top and the back stage of service design sits just below the surface, kind of like an iceberg. They meet perfectly right at that line in the middle at these intersecting nodes called touchpoints or puntos de contacto. Every single time the invisible backstage delivers something to the visible front stage, boom, a touchpoint occurs. It forms the absolute bridge between the company and the consumer. Literally every single interaction you have with a brand is a touchpoint, and they happen across your entire journey with them. Pre-purchase touchpoints, that might be seeing a cool billboard or just hearing a friend's recommendation. Then, during the purchase, it's navigating the physical store or making a quick customer service call. And it doesn't end there, no way. Post-purchase touchpoints include things like redeeming warranties or filling out one of those satisfaction surveys. The key takeaway here is that every single one of these moments has to be intentionally designed to create one cohesive experience. And finally, section 6, from linear to bidirectional. To really appreciate how far design has come, we've got to contrast this modern ecosystem with the super rigid manufacturing methods of the past. Historically, product design was basically a straight line. You came up with an idea, you built it, and you sold it. Simple, right? Well, rapid technological changes demanded a much more agile strategy. The modern market absolutely requires a continuous feedback-driven loop that can constantly adapt, learn, and evolve based on what we, as humans, actually need. If you look at the traditional linear process, it's totally a one-way street from the problem all the way to launch. Once you move forward, you do not go back. Now contrast that with the beautiful bi-directional process of today. Those dotted arrows looping backwards and forwards, they show exactly how constant feedback links design thinking, service design, and UX into one continuous loop. If a prototype fails a test, no problem. It just loops right back to the ideation or definition phase. It's literally a living, breathing ecosystem. As we wrap up today, I want to leave you with a thought. The next time you're stuck using a super frustrating app, or on the flip side, you call a customer service line that magically solves your problem in seconds, ask yourself, was this product born from a rigid, linear past? Or is it the thoughtful creation of a modern, human-centered, bi-directional design paradigm? Because once you understand this ecosystem, it gives you an entirely new lens through which to view the products that make up your everyday world. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep looking for the design behind the experience.